when we were making it, people asked me, well, did you think it was going to be successful? And yeah, I never really thought about it. I just thought, gee, this is great fun. I mean, they're giving us laser guns, and I get to rescue a princess, and, you know.
It looked like a campy thing to make.
Well, sure, and it was so hard. A lot of times, it's a true story. Harrison Ford, who plays the space pirate in the film, at one point threatened to tie George up and make him say his own lines at gunpoint. I mean, the dialogue was a little bit difficult. I remember there was one line that I just begged him to take out of the screenplay, and he finally did. And
you
it's
remember
when,
the line?
Yes, boy, I'll never forget it as long as I live. I sometimes dream about this line. It was just coming upon the exploded planet of the princess, Alderaan, and it's totally been blown away. And Harrison says, look, kid, I've done my part of the bargain. When I get to an asteroid, you, the old man, and the droids get dropped off. And my line was, but we can't turn back. Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquilai or Sullust, and what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault. And I thought, who talks like this, George? I mean, this is really not fair because, you know, we're the ones that are going to get vegetables thrown at us, not you.
Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is much greater than on Aquilai or Sullust, and what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault.
This is not a game, you know.
Well, how many more systems have to get blown away before you have no place to hide and are forced to fight? Don't you realize what's going on?
Kid, you take the glory and the good intentions. I'll take the reward.
Fear is their greatest weapon.
So you begged George to cut that line, didn't you?
Well, what it was when I read it, intellectually understood what it was. Now, I've never forgotten this after all these years. But we can't turn back. Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquilai or Sullust, and what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault. Huh? Listen. So it makes sense. Fear is their greatest defense because they're intimidating this gigantic contraption. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquilai or Sullust, two made-up planetoids. I get that. What there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault. In other words, we're waiting for an armada. We could slip in this little tiny hamburger-shaped Millennium Falcon thing. So it made sense intellectually. The trick was, how can you make it sound like it's spontaneous dialogue that's just rolling off your tongue?
Well,
not so easy.
I was going to say he was right. It was a bit much, although it's stuck in your brain.
It's stuck in my brain. I've never been able to get rid of it.
But it was one of those lines up there with, it'll take a few moments for the navigator to calculate the coordinates, or I'm here to send you the message, the one Carrie does all the time, which is the thing. But he was the one that actually said, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it eventually went away. We never even shot it for when we actually went over.
Yeah, I think the scene itself got cut out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was my favorite because I loved Harrison. I said, look what Harrison has to say. It'll take a few moments for the navigator to calculate the coordinates. He'll never do it. We were making book on whether he'd be able to actually say it.
It'll take a few minutes to calculate the coordinates. No. We're starting
wrong. Left out the navicomputer.
Take a few minutes for the navicomputer to calculate the coordinates.
Wow.
I said to George, you can type this stuff, but you can't say it. Move your mouth while you're talking, while you're typing it, and I couldn't say it. It took me like 15 takes to say it.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Star Wars. Now, when they first asked you to be in that film, were you reluctant to participate in the film? Did you know anything about it?
I knew about American Graffiti, which
Sure.
I admired very much.
George Lucas?
And I inquired about George Lucas, and I was in Hollywood, and the end of making a film.
What was the film?
Murder by Death, it was called.
Not as big as Star Wars, was it?
No.
Yeah.
No. And there was a script on my dressing table, and I saw George Lucas's name, and that I knew had, was potential there. And then I opened it and I thought, oh my God, it's, it's science fiction and it's not going to be for me. But I'll read a little bit. And I started reading. I didn't think the dialogue was very good, but it held me from page to page. And the next day I met with Lucas. We had lunch together. I liked him enormously. And, shortly after that, he said, would I come and play that part?
Now, let's talk about the latest aspect of your career, which is, it's quite extraordinary. You've been all these years in movies, and now all of a sudden you've hit the jackpot with a thing called Star Wars, which I saw last week, and I think just loved it. I think it's super. I think it's marvelous escapism, and it'll clean up. But, how did you come to be involved with a piece of science fiction like that?
Well, it arrived as a script. I was just finishing a picture in Hollywood. Another day to go, and the script arrived on my dressing table. And I heard that it had been delivered by George Lucas. And I thought, well, that's rather impressive, because he's an up-and-coming and very respect-worthy young director. And then when I opened it and found it was science fiction, I thought, oh, crumbs, this is simply not for me. And then I started reading, and it seemed to me the dialogue was pretty ropey. But I had to go on turning the page. And that's an essential in any script. You've got to know what happens next, or what's going to be said next. And I went on reading, and I thought, no, I like this. If only we can get some of the dialogue altered. And then I met him, we got on very well, and I found myself doing it, that's all.
And it's made more money than any other movie ever made.
So I'm told.
And you've got yourself part of the action.
Ah, well.
2.5%, isn't it?
No, not quite that, no.
What is it? Sir Alec, how much is it?
Well, you want that story.
Please.
I tried to keep this dark. I don't know where this all sprang from. I think it was the Evening Standard to blame for this. I had a contract. My agent said, I've asked for 2% of whatever, because we didn't think it would make any, I've had a percentage on a film before, and they lose money like mad if I have a percentage. And I said, oh, fine, all right, 2%. And the day before the film opened in San Francisco, George Lucas phoned me and said, he's he's like Alan Bennett, he's very diffident and very shy and quiet, and he has a funny little voice. And he said, I think the movie's kind of going to be all right. And I said, oh, I'm glad, George. And he said, yeah, the press quite like it. I said, good. He said, we're pleased with, very grateful for little alterations you suggested, and so we'd like to offer you another 0.5%, by making it 2.5%. And I said, oh, that's marvelous, thank you very much. But a matter of a few weeks later, in fact, the day I saw the film, I've just seen it once, the producer, who again is a charming, delightful chap, I said, about this little extra something you were kindly offering, I wonder if we could have something in writing just so that, my agent and so on believes this. And he said, oh, about the 0.25%, yes.
No fool there. Yeah. So it's 2.25%. We'll put that right, yes, sadly.
I couldn't believe some of the things they wrote about the prequels, but really beyond I didn't like it. You ruined my childhood, and I'm still angry about the way they treated Jake Lloyd. He was only 10 years old that boy, and he did exactly what George wanted him to do. Believe me, I understand clunky dialogue.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Not like here. Here everything is soft and smooth.